Hi, this is Nancy Yearold, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And guess who's here? Suzanne Ross is here, and I'm so glad she's here. We're going to talk about ascension today, and we're going to talk about how to have a smoother ascension. And she's going to give us some tips, and she's going to talk to us about some of the trigger words that affect us and how we can overcome these things. So it's going to be a really good show. Make sure you share it, and remember to hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. Now, a couple things I want to talk about. I'll try to make it brief so we can bring Suzanne on. The first thing I want to talk about is if you want a psychic reading, go to my website, nancyyearold.com, and click on book, and you can go to my calendar and book with me. The other thing I want to mention is starting Sunday, and I'm a little nervous, but we're going to do this. I'm going to bring through News with Nancy, and it will be Sunday. I don't know what time I'm going to do it yet. It's not going to be live yet, but it will be live eventually, so you guys can make comments. But I'm going to start out just doing the video of what's going on in the world, and I'm going to give you my intuitive take on what's really happening in the world. So tune in for that on Sunday. It'll be on YouTube, and then I'll put it on my website. Now, I'll tell you what, this mask stuff is really starting to bug me. Here's the headlines. Americans sound off on possibilities of new mask mandate. And it says the new White House mask discussions come after staffers for President Biden and Speaker Nancy Pelosi tested positive for COVID-19 earlier in the week. And after 6 Texas Democrat legislators tested positive after flying maskless on a charter plane to Washington to protest of a GOP-led voting bill. All I'm going to say about this is I'm not giving medical advice, just so y'all know. I'm not giving medical advice, but my opinion is that I wouldn't want my grandkids to have masks on during school, and I don't think it's necessary. And this feels like control to me, and I want you guys to stand up. We have to stand up. We cannot be quiet and not say anything. So I'm going to tell you guys, we need to stand up because these are our children. Okay, having said that, I want to bring on Suzanne Ross. And Suzanne, gosh, she was born in Shasta, California, Shasta County, California. She grew up in the mystical forests of sacred Mount Shasta, playing with the fairies and the elementals and the trolls. And she was visited regularly by galactic beings who would come down and bless her. And she just, she's a healer of the light. She had an awakening at the age of 31, and she's here to help us today. So welcome to High Road to Humanity, Suzanne.
Thanks so much for having me back, Nancy. I so enjoyed connecting the first time, and we both resonate on so many levels energetically, and just what you started your podcast out with today regarding the masks and this program of fear and separation. I agree with you, and I truly think that it is an agenda of fear and separation being imposed upon humanity. I think the masks have been proven to be ineffective to preventing any kind of disease transmission, right. But also it's highly unhealthy to inhale your own carbon dioxide. And so, even if I wear a mask for a short period because I have to, I don't feel well by the time I get to take it off. It's like I'm just gasping for fresh air, right? And so thank you for empowering people to rise up and stand up.
They have to. We have to, or they're going to take us over. We have to do something. So, and I just, God, don't get me on this because I get so upset. They're going from door to door. Now, if you're going door to door to see if you've had your vaccine, that seems to me a little bit much. And the other thing I just want to say, and then I'll get off my soapbox for today, is when I see the states, like I'm in New Mexico, and they're having this lottery, right? And they're like, hey, if you get the shot, then the vaccine, then you can be in the lottery. Isn't that something there doesn't feel right? Don't you guys not see that something's not right with this? Like, you're going to give away money? Come on, something's not cool here. I just want you guys to wake up. Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And, Suzanne, talk about, you have a book called Wake Up, and I like it. And I have a book called Wake Up. So it's kind of weird. I guess
let's hold our books up at the same time.
Right? I know. Look at this. So this is the
What?
message. I know,
That
right?
is
Right.
wild.
Because
I
it's
told
time.
you we
I
resonate on the same energy
know.
frequencies.
I know. I know. Talk about this. Talk about people waking up and your story and what we can do to help people right now.
Thank you for asking. And I think in the last podcast, people can tune in to hear the details of my awakening experience on a mountaintop over 25 years ago. But basically, in a moment of desperation, I looked to the skies for inspiration. And in that moment of surrender, I received guidance from a higher source that told me that I had come to the desert to be a healer and that I would stay there and heal myself and many others. And I did. In a matter of 2 weeks, I completely transformed my life from a stressed out corporate executive on the East Coast to a healer in the desert of Southern California. And I've never looked back. I've stayed on that path of health and well being, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and do that today in many different ways through books and events, also through services and spiritual journeys out here in the vortex of Sedona.
I
And so
know.
I've dedicated my life to enhancing the well being of others. And it was due to this profound awakening experience. And
Mhm.
so I have felt called since then
Right.
to assist in the awakening of others.
I feel the same way. That's so great. We're on the same page, you and I, because that's why I do this. I'm trying to wake people up and say, hey, pay attention. Are you not watching what's going on? You know, you have a special event happening, and I just want to mention it right off the bat in Sedona. Talk about that. I don't know a lot about this. So tell me what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. I love it that you're so open to me talking about my event because
Of
I'm really
course.
excited about it.
Cool.
So I moved to Sedona in 2015 and I've been having these equinox events every year. And as we know, there's a spring and a fall equinox. So two
Okay.
events a year.
Okay.
So coming up here, the fall equinox this year falls on Wednesday, Wednesday, September 22nd.
Okay.
And people think I'm crazy for having an event midweek, but we have to have it on the day of the equinox.
Why?
This is when the equinox portal opens and the
Oh,
veil between realms is thin. Now, the ancients knew this. They built entire temples directed at the rising sun of the equinox and solstice. And so they knew that at this time, and this year it's at 12:20 p.m. on Wednesday, September 22nd. So we're going to be doing ceremony, ritual to really tap in to those interdimensional veils between worlds, between us and the higher dimensions and even the higher heavens, so
nice.
that we can connect directly with our own higher selves, with the ascended masters, angels, archangels, mother, father, God, goddess, tap into those cosmic energies for our own ascension. And it is called the Sedona Ascension Retreat. I've got amazing speakers and practitioners coming
Oh
from
my
Maureen
gosh.
St. Germain,
I know I love Maria.
very well-known spiritual teacher, Celestine Starr, who's a galactic goddess and has been teaching galactic cosmic connection for decades. Shakina Rose here in Sedona sings the language of light. After
Wow.
some near-death experiences, she was taught by the angels how to sing in the language of light.
Mhm.
We have Brian Scott, amazing spiritual teacher, big YouTuber, millions of followers on YouTube. Rob Potter, who's had his own interdimensional experiences, particularly with the Venusians from Venus. His
Wow.
stories are very compelling. Titiana Dolan, I'm so excited to have Titania because she's the daughter of Donna Eden,
Oh,
who
wow. I didn't know
created
that. Oh
right?
my gosh. Yeah.
Eden energy medicine.
Oh my
And I'm so
God.
excited.
Yeah.
Her eldest daughter, Titania, has created now Eden Energy Dance. And so she's going to be guiding us in Eden Energy Medicine and leading a Eden Energy Medicine dance. I'm so excited.
I know, I can tell.
Rest-
Well, this is going to be fun. So if people want to go, I mean, what do they do? Because gosh, this just sounds really cool.
Yeah, you can find out more about all the bios of all the speakers, what they're going to be guiding and doing. There's presentations, practices, performances, also spiritual journeys into sacred vortex sites every
Wow.
day from 4 to 6. And so you can just go to Sedona Accession Retreats.com.
Okay. So you have a lot of vortexes there. And then what do? Do you take people on tours? How does that work? I'm curious.
Thanks for asking. Yes. And so what I do
Yeah.
as an independent contractor for Sedona Mystical Tours is I take people into the sacred vortex sites around Sedona.
Okay.
We hike to this destination that usually has an incredibly gorgeous view. We go, we hike high up, not high enough for most people to be able to get to, but to a vantage point where we
Hmm.
have an incredible vista. There, we lay down our blankets and I guide visualization, breathing practices, movement, and meditation. I use Tibetan singing bowls,
Nice.
drumming,
Yeah.
tuning forks, crystals. We put out crystal shrines, right?
Cool.
And so it's all very powerful and transformative.
I bet that's really cool. And so if somebody hasn't awakened yet, this would be a really cool event for them to attend because obviously, the with the vortexes and the crystals with the energy, it would be like almost easier for people to awaken. What do you think?
Absolutely. And geologists have confirmed that there is a crystalline basement under all of Sedona, lying just underneath this red rock iron ore, which is actually a form of rust, is pure quartz crystal. And so people have hypothesized that maybe when Sedona was under the sea 300 million years ago, it was a crystal temple city like Atlantis or
Mhm.
Lemuria. And when it started to emerge from the water, it gathered layer upon layer of rust. People call Sedona the crystal city of light. And so when you're doing these practices on the red rocks, you're lying
Mhm.
on a bed of pure quartz crystal. You've got the
Crazy.
magnetic energy from the iron ore and the piezoelectric effect of the crystal. So this spiraling electromagnetic energy creates these vortexes with a very high frequency energy within them.
That's fantastic. Hey, we got to go to commercial break because we're doing the podcast too today. But I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. I don't have Wake Up with me, but you do. But I have Rise Up. And that's another one of her books, 10 Days on the Ascension Path. You guys, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. And I will be right back with Suzanne. It's High Road to Humanity. And I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. Suzanne, I just want to tell you, I find the vortex is really I don't know, interesting. I was in California, and I don't know if I told you this before. I was in Laguna Beach, and I was in a jewelry store right there on the main drag, and I had bought some jewelry from this lady, and we kind of became friendly. And she said, there's a vortex right here. And I said, no. And she said, yes, they came from the United Nations. And I said, really? And she said, yes, there's a sign right out front that says this is the vortex, that this is a portal. Actually, she called it a portal. She called it a portal. I don't know if portal and vortex, if it's the same thing, but so I went
Sure.
out. Yeah. So she had me stand there. She's like, well, you should stand here. But I didn't really get a lot. But then when I went out front, what I thought was so interesting, there's like a sign that marks this spot that says the United Nations have been here and this is a portal. What do you know about these portals?
Thank you for asking, and this is going to blow your mind. So, when we moved to California, Southern California, we moved to Mission Viejo. I went to Mission Viejo High School, and
Okay.
that's where I graduated from. From Laguna Beach.
Right.
And so I spent a great deal of my upbringing in Laguna Beach.
And I'm drawn there. And I just want to, yes, let me stop you a second. I am drawn to this place. I can't tell you how many times I've been. I would like to live there, although you'd have to be a gazillionaire to afford to live there. But I have a connection. Please, and you do too, don't you?
I mean, we spent so much time on Laguna Beach when I was in my teens, and I loved it. I always felt elevated, uplifted when I was there. It's a magical place, yes. And so these vortexes and portals, there's meant to be 13 sacred sites on planet Earth where these vortexes are incredibly powerful. And Sedona is one of them. The Giza Plateau in Egypt is another. The temple complex in Bolivia is another. Naxos, Greece, Temple of Apollo. But there's countless portals and vortexes around the world. And so they're created by this powerful electromagnetic spiraling energy that comes from the Earth's core, which is magnetic. But there's so much crystal in the inner Earth, and crystal is electric. And so what you get spiraling up onto the surface, oftentimes through volcanic shafts, is this powerful electromagnetic energy, and it comes out of the earth like this, and then it returns to the earth. When it comes out of the earth, it's called the male vortex, spinning in a clockwise direction. And in these, people feel empowered, expressive, standing in their power, right? And in the vortex that returns to the earth, spinning now counterclockwise, is a female vortex. And people feel like going on an inward journey, returning to the soul within. And so amazing experiences in these portals. Also, these portals connect us to the cosmos and to the inner earth. And I believe that both in the inner earth, there's advanced civilizations from Atlantis and Lemuria who created their own higher dimensional civilizations within the crystalline matrix of the inner earth, but also expanding into the cosmos and connecting with our cosmic brothers and sisters, our starry origins, because we all have starseed DNA.
Okay. So when you were growing up there, did you ever see the vortex there or the portal in Laguna?
In Laguna Beach?
Yeah. Did you
Wasn't consciously aware of it, but I
Right.
wouldn't be surprised at all if I was influenced by it. Because when you go to Laguna Beach, people are walking on air.
I
People are
know.
so happy and
I know.
relaxed and friendly.
It's my favorite place. And everybody always looks at me like I'm nuts. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I would go, like, I was drawn there. I would go there by myself. There were times where I would just go by myself. And I would stay at the hotel right there on the main drag and just go to the beach. It is a magical place. And you see the whales and you see the dolphins. And it's just really cool. I want to ask you about a vortex in Israel. I hear there's a vortex in Israel. Do you know anything about it? Portal?
Well, absolutely right, because Israel has always been a very religious place. And even though we might think of some of the extremists, right, misusing the religious implications of infidel and what have you, the majority of people are practicing connecting with the divine.
Right.
Through mantras, through prayers. And look at all of the incredibly beautiful structures, the temples that have been built, and the masses of people doing pilgrimage. And so I would say, yes, when you come to places that have temples and masses are performing religious practices, spiritual practices, connecting with the divine, there's likely a powerful portal there. And that's why they built the temples there. The ancients knew this.
Yeah, they knew it. And I just did a show with Joshua Shapiro on Tataria and the Tatarian people. And so you'll have to check that out, you guys. And it's about how we had all these temples and all this free electric, and we'll talk about that. You want to talk today a little bit about people ascending, and, we're in a kind of crazy world right now. And, people need some encouragement. You mentioned some trigger words. Talk about real life, like what's really going on with a lot of people, and maybe you can give them some help.
Well, here we are in this 3D duality, right? So there's always going to be the light and the dark. And they both serve a purpose. I've always said the dark night is a great gift because when you emerge on the other side victorious, you emerge into a light that's brighter and bigger than you ever knew before. And so COVID has been a catalyst for many to awaken, to reflect upon the lives that they were living. Look, their routines got disrupted. They're going
Mhm.
along, living their lives, right? Nothing's really changing. And then all of a sudden they're shaken to their core. Many people losing jobs or their opportunity to prosper. Others just reflecting upon the life they've been living, having a greater appreciation for their family. And so I really feel that if we have faith that everything is in divine order and divine timing, that COVID may very well be just the catalyst that we needed to awaken out of our slumber and to explore new, higher ways of living and being, to get
Mhm.
creative and resourceful about the way that we're expressing ourselves in this world. And so, for instance,
And
some
what's
people
really
who lost
important.
their job.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think people started to realize what's really important.
Yes, absolutely. And I've always said that humanity is resourceful and creative and productive, and
Mhm.
they are going to persevere to provide for themselves and their families, no matter what. And so, jobs that were taken away because of forced closures and this and that, people reinvented
I
themselves
know, it's
and they
great.
had yeah, they had freedom too to recreate themselves in any which way that they desire, right? And so, yes, awakening into new possibilities.
I think it's been a blessing. Now, I want to know your take on this. I feel like people have to wake up. The majority of us have to wake up to stop the dark. And I feel like we are. I feel like we'll make it. What's your feeling on that?
To focus on the light and to look away from the darkness,
Mhm.
to be aware of what's happening in the world, but not to spiral into that black
Yes.
hole, to not spiral into the rabbit hole of it all, to be aware so that you can make informed choices, but to spend your time focusing on the light and creating higher ways of living and beings for yourself and your family by taking long walks out in nature and
Mhm.
connecting into nature. When you go into these beautiful sites, it's as if nothing is happening in the world that is destructive or chaotic. You're in this beautiful natural creation. Look
Yeah.
to the light of the sun. The sun is a divine portal through which the Hindus know Brahma, divine consciousness, flows. Engage in spiritual practices, breathing practices, going into that place of stillness. I love to do meditation out in nature, out
Yes.
in the creation, in
Yeah.
the direct line of the sun, right? And in these practices, you start to tune in to who you are as a divine being, as a soul with unlimited potential to create an aspect of the divine creator.
I know.
And
It's
so,
great. It's great. Hey, we got to go to commercial break. But when we come back, I'm going to talk about Mother Earth a little bit. Hey, you guys, I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. I'm going to hold up her book. I do have Rise Up, and her other one is Wake Up. And you guys got to check it out. You can, I'm sure, pick them up on Amazon. Is that right, Suzanne? Yeah. Yeah.
on my website, I prefer
Okay.
because it has full color illustrations there.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay. Go to her website and then you can check them out. This is Nancy Year Out. This is High Road to Humanity. We will be right back. I have chicken.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. Suzanne, I want to talk about Mother Earth. And I've been connecting a little bit, well, actually a lot with Mother Earth. And I want to see what your take on it. I've been going outside and taking my shoes off. I do it every morning. I get up, I go out there with my coffee and I take my shoes off and I stand in the grass. And I'll tell you what, the energy that's coming up into the bottom of my feet is healing, and it's amazing. I just want people to know this. I don't think people realize you can heal yourself if you just walk outside. And you were just talking about that. But let's talk about the vibration and the nature spirits and some of this kind of stuff, if you don't mind. What do you think?
Yes, Mother Earth is a living, breathing being who dearly loves all of her children. And the iron hot crystal core at the center is her beating heart. Her
Oh,
heart is beating for us and through us. And I do practices of drumming where I invite people to synchronize their heartbeat with the beating heart of Mother Earth, which is the heartbeat of creation. And in doing so, you get this profound sense of oneness with the mother. I also do practices where I spiral people into the heart of Mother Earth and be seated within her heart to feel that nurturing love and
wow.
compassion of the mother. And that's what you're feeling. You're feeling
Mhm.
her life force energy arising from her body, right? To love you, to heal you, to bless you.
Yeah, and we used to walk around without our shoes on all the time. I grew up on a farm in Ohio, so I always ran around barefoot, not even realizing that I was picking up all the energy. But I was watching an earthing thing. I'm really into Gaia now, so I watch Gaia. And this guy was talking about how healing it is, and they were saying that the Native Americans, if a baby was sick, they would dig a hole and put the baby in the hole because Mother Earth has the energy to heal. And that really hit home with me. That really made sense. Have you heard these things before?
Well, I know the indigenous have always known the power of Mother Earth and how to connect into Mother Earth as a sacred being, as
Mhm.
their spiritual mother. And so we can definitely learn from the indigenous about the sacredness of the land. They consider all lands sacred,
I
right? And
know.
particular places on the planet more sacred than others.
Well, and I think people need to get back to that. When you were talking about going out and taking a walk in nature, I really believe in just go outside. We get stuck sometimes in the house, and I think we need that energy to heal us. You know what I mean?
And that was another thing about COVID that was cool. If we're going to look at the light side of things,
Yeah,
is it did force people to go outdoors because it was the one place that they could breathe in the fresh air, right? With social distancing or what have you, they could be outside.
right.
And I mean, Sedona was quiet for maybe 2 months in March and April of 2020. And then the floodgates opened and
Really,
people came here in droves. And even mid-July, hot, humid people are still here
really.
in droves because you can be outside. And they have an intuitive sense about coming to this sacred site for healing and transformation.
That's how I feel about Mount Shasta, and that's kind of where you grew up. I'm going to go out there because I feel like I feel drawn to that place too. Hey, you talk a lot about self-realization, and I really believe in this. It says in the Bible, know thyself. And I wondered if you would address that and how important it is.
Right? I believe that we're here on this earth experience to know thyself and to experience love. I
Mhm.
really believe that the one true aspect of ourselves, whole, perfect, and complete, stands at the center of our creation as our eternal soul, but in an existential state of being. And that these eternal souls created this mental construct of space time within which to experience,
Right.
which in which to know thyself in a form of self realization through experience in
Yes.
these experiential realms of time and space. And so that's what we've come here to do, to know thyself through experience and to experience love, love of self and love of other. And so that becomes the greater meaning and deeper purpose of our lives.
It really is. And it's not something that is ego-based, you guys. To know thyself inside, and not worry about, I guess I want to back up a little bit. When you grow up, your parents tell you you should do this and you should do that and you should do this. And society says you should do this and you should do that. But what I'm talking about is when you're older, you have the ability to be who you are and to let go of that little wagging finger that was telling you what you should do or what you shouldn't do. It's the time where you go, oh, I'm going to do what I feel in my heart and my soul. And what and connection, I guess, connection to the divine. And when you do that and you connect, you start to know thyself better. I just want to say that. What do you think about that, Suzanne?
Absolutely. And in my book, Wake Up, I do take people through a process of letting go of the programming and offer practical spirituality for balancing ego and spirit. I tuned into spirit writing my book, Wake Up, and made a request that I wanted to offer a process by which people could let go of any negative emotions attached to any trauma they may have experienced in their life. Also, to overcome the limiting programming so that they could expand into their limitlessness. And what I was offered is this process of karmic cause and effect, why I invite people to explore the most transformational experiences of their life and then to identify the causes. What caused this to happen? And
Mhm.
then identify the effects. What effects did it have on myself and others? And in doing so, the life lessons hidden within become perfectly clear. Once you can identify those life lessons that you've come here to learn,
Right.
then you can consciously apply them to your life today so that you can master them and then you can evolve into more enlightened ones. It's a way of intentionally creating meaningful experiences that incorporate your life lessons so that you can consciously evolve toward more enlightened ones.
No, that makes sense. And I look back now and I think everybody will as they get to this point, and we all evolve at different places. So that's where we don't judge anybody, you guys. But when you do start to do this, then you realize these were blessings. In like 3D, you're like, oh, why did this happen? But in 5D, when you start to evolve a little bit, you're like, oh, wow, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here. And so each thing that happens and each to all of us, whether it's good or bad, is a blessing.
Absolutely. Life is a precious gift, a
Mhm,
precious opportunity
mhm.
to discover self love and love of others, to become the highest version of your best self. I always feel like God is living through me as me, right? And I want to give him the
Mhm.
best show possible. And so
Yeah.
every day I wake up and I try to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday.
And it's not easy. I just want to tell you guys this. We talk about this stuff, but I work on this stuff. I work on myself every single day and I live it. I work on myself every day. I'm not there yet, but you're right. I work for God. That's how I've changed how I look at things. I work for God. And when you work for God, you don't have to worry about anything. You know what I mean? You're at more peace.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, you're at peace. And I'm finally to that point where, yeah, that's what I do. So if somebody asked me, what do you do? I'd tell them I work for God. And I bring the information, and you do too, to the people who need to hear it.
Absolutely. To enhance their lives in positive, powerful ways, to offer that profound sense of oneness with all that is. And yes, to view life as the precious gift that it is. I like to say, I get to. I get to be here.
That's
I
cool.
get to do the laundry. I get to go to the store. I get to experience life for all it's worth if I choose to embrace it in that way.
Right. It's a blessing. You talk about in your book, and I'll kind of get back to this, you talk about creating a sanctuary, a shrine. Talk to people about that who are just evolving and they don't know what a shrine, I know what it is, but tell people what they need to do.
So these objects that you may put in your shrine are inspirational for you
Mhm.
to bring your spiritual experience into the highest possible level of resonance. And so you might have an object from nature, a rock, a leaf, a pine cone, a sand dollar, something that inspires you.
Mhm.
Also, you may have deities, like I have this little Buddha sitting here. I'll put my Buddha in my shrine space. Maybe a picture of Jesus, maybe ascended masters or archangels, or maybe a
Mhm.
picture of my mother and father, whatever it is, or your children, whatever it is that you consider sacred.
Mhm.
Also, I inspire people to put in the four elements. And so you would have a glass of water, you might have a candle to represent fire. You
Right.
might have a pure quartz crystal to represent air. A rock would represent earth. And
Mhm.
so using these elements from nature, these sacred people or angels or archangels. And so having these objects in your shrine space inspires you during your meditative experience. And
Right.
so going back to the same place time and again and doing these meditative practices with these sacred objects and pictures activates that space and makes it
Yes.
more and more powerful.
Yes. And that's where, yeah, when people gather like in churches, that's why the energy is like that. All right, you guys, we got to go to commercial break. I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. We're talking about, oh gosh, how can we evolve? And we're going to talk about what is the golden dream when we come back. This is Nancy Earl. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll see you in a second. Hi, this is Nancy Earl. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Suzanne Ross. Suzanne, thanks for coming on the show. You're just a joy. You're full of so much information. I mean, you really are. You know so much, and it's so cool to have you on the show today. You talk about the goal. What is the golden dream in Wake Up? So I thought maybe you would want to share that with the audience a little bit.
And so maybe 10 years ago, I was teaching integrative body, mind, spirit classes. And I realized that when we went around the room and we asked people, what would enhance your life?
Oh,
What's
okay.
the golden dream of your life?
Okay.
Right. And,
Yeah.
most people said, well, money. I mean, if I had money, then I could do, be, and have anything that I
Mm,
desire. I could live the golden dream of my life. And
mm,
I inspired them to go a little deeper. Let's
mhm.
go a little deeper and ask yourself, what is it really that would enhance your life? To
Right.
feel happier and more fulfilled, to feel more connected with others, to feel a deeper meaning and greater purpose to my life.
Mhm.
Ah,
Yeah. Money
now
can't
we're
buy you
getting
love, right?
somewhere.
Yes, yes. Yes. Well, and we've had it backwards. I need to say this to you. What I've learned recently, and this I always tell the audience what I've learned because I kind of start, thinking about these things. But when you connect with God, you don't have to worry about money. And I want to say that you guys, and when you said that, it just hit me really hard because, I'm recently single, divorced in November, and I'm like, oh God, I got to do this and I got to do that. But then I finally have come, and it took me a while to get to a point where God provides for people just like he does for the animals and the birds. And we don't think of it that way. And that's what you learned in your class. And that's what the people learned in the class. I think, I'm just throwing this out there, that when they connect with God, that's the most important thing. And then you get what you need, right?
Absolutely. When you're in selfless service, you will always receive, right? Because it's
Hmm.
give and receive. When you give, you receive. And when you give generously with an open heart and open mind, you receive generously. Always keeping in mind that you're serving the highest good for yourself and others.
Right.
And so when everything that you do is serving the highest good for all, then you are going to receive generously that which you require to continue to serve at your highest level. So it's
Right.
all about the service and the love.
It's true. It's true. Now, when you did these classes, I mean, wasn't it amazing to see people realize that money wasn't the most important thing?
Definitely. And they would come back and say what a positive impact these classes were having on them personally and professionally. And so
Mhm.
many started to shift out of that which was not conducive to their well being or the well being of others in both their personal and their professional lives.
Yep.
And they became more radiant, enthusiastic, enthused, right? And theos,
Mhm. Right.
connected to God. And as they did, their lives just took on such greater meaning and purpose. And they started to live their lives in higher ways. And
Mhm.
it was just a beautiful transformation to witness.
Yeah, and as you evolve, I mean, stuff doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, stuff is nice. I like stuff, but the luster, they lose their luster, you buy something and it only lasts for a little while. But when you're connected with the divine and you're connected with people and you feel this vibration of love, that's really, I think, what we're all like yearning for, you know?
And it's something that can't be taken away. No one can take away my spiritual gifts. No one can take away my connection to God. And I
Mhm.
will take that with me when I pass.
I love
Right.
it.
And so, like yourself, I like to have a nice, comfortable home. I like to have a dependable car to drive. I like to
Sure.
have decent food to eat. But I can tell you honestly that if something were to happen and I had to live in a tent under a tree with my husband, you know what? I would make the most of it
I know
because
you'd be
it's
good,
not the
right?
material things that
Yeah,
are making me happy,
I know.
right? And we could live off the land. So I don't live in fear of losing my material wealth.
Yeah, I don't either. That's so funny. And it takes a while to get there because we've been so conditioned by society that what you have is makes you who you are, and that's not true.
Absolutely not. And people spend their entire lives trying to gather more stuff so that they have more stuff than their neighbor, or they have better stuff than their neighbor. And now they're better as a result. False. And
I
you can see
know.
oftentimes people who have all gathered all of this wealth, they become obsessed with the wealth and the money, and they can even become greedy and selfish. And so it's like you'll find many of these people who are in the world of the elite have much chaos in their life, multiple situations of being greedy and misusing power,
Mhm.
right?
And they
um,
eventually trip up. I just want to say it only lasts, it's very short lived, by the way. I mean, I don't know. We could talk a little bit. We've only got about 6 minutes, but we can talk a little bit about karma. I believe now, Maureen St. Germain says, Nancy, there's no more karma. And her and I go back and forth on that one. But I don't know. I still feel like what you do here makes a difference. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's what drives you to do what you do.
Mhm.
Once you realize the divine within and without, all you want to do is inspire and empower and enlighten others so that they too can experience the divine within and without and have that ecstatic bliss state and that feeling of inner peace and joy, right? And so once you have activated the divine spark within, you're inspired to serve the highest good for yourself and others. And that's what drives you. You no longer wish to create negative karma, right? You're
I like
inspired
that.
to just create abundant virtue.
Right. And it's easier to forgive, that's another thing, everybody works on the forgiveness thing and the judgment thing. I'm good with the judgment thing. I don't judge anybody because we're all on our own paths, and we can get that across to people. That would be cool. And forgiveness, forgiveness is not as easy as I guess we'd like it to be. It's hard. When you're betrayed or somebody does something to you, it's really difficult to forgive, but it's freeing when you do. And so, I don't know, talk a little bit about that.
Forgiveness is key, isn't it?
Mhm.
And once you can truly forgive yourself and others, it is such a profound sense of liberation, right? This huge weight lifted off of your head. And you just feel so much better. You're not hanging on to that negative energy, right? And so I definitely inspire people to do what they can to sincerely forgive themselves and others, because it opens you to be much more in the light of love.
That's true. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, sometimes people just, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you have to. And I think, I don't know, it just takes time sometimes for forgiveness. Hey, we got about 4 or 5 minutes left here. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to share with the audience?
So I'm going to share a sun mantra. This is something that has been really powerful for me in my practice, and
Okay.
something I learned from Dr. Mitchell Gibson. And
Okay.
so this powerful practice, he'll call solar yoga. And what it
Oh,
is, it's going out into the sun
okay.
an hour, within an hour after the sun rises, or within an hour before the sun sets. And what
Okay.
you do is you stand in the light of the sun. And he says you can actually look at the sun at these times because it's like a candle, and it's not burning as brightly as it does during the middle of the day.
Okay.
And so when you look into the sun, this divine portal, you say this ancient sun mantra: Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pima Siddhi Hum. You imagine that the sun is like a clock,
Okay.
and at each of the numbers, which he calls stations, you say this mantra twice. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pima Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pima Siddhi Hum. And then you move on to the next number. You
Okay.
do that for 2 complete rotations. You're
Okay.
laser focused when you're doing this, honoring the sun for the divine being he, she is. And it's incredibly powerful. It activates dormant DNA. It brings more of your brain online. It activates your golden light body,
Okay.
raises your
Okay,
love
well,
light
hold
frequency.
on, hold on. So let me make sure I got this down because I'm going to do this, you guys. I always do this stuff. All right, so I'm going to go out. Right.
And
So
within the hour before it
okay,
sets.
so it's after. So in the morning, I go in there an hour. Okay, and I stand outside and I look up at the sun and I imagine it's a clock. And then each number on the clock, I'm going to say this twice for 1, twice for 2, twice for 3, and I do the whole deal twice. Is that correct? Got it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what do we say again? Slow.
Om
Om,
Ahum
ah, hum,
Vajra Guru
Vajra Guru,
Pima Siddhi
Pima City,
Hum.
hum. Okay. You guys got that? All right. Well, I'm going to do this. You guys got to do this. Now, tell us again. So we do this and then we do it every day or what?
Do it every day. Do
And
it
this is
every day.
okay. And this is going to
And
expand.
you will notice profound transformations in your being.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, you guys, we got to get out of here today. Tell one more time if people want to go to your retreat that you have coming up. Yes, there we go. Talk about this. Talk to us about one more time before we got to get out of here, Suzanne.
Please go to Sedona Accession Retreats And I also invite you to visit my personal website, SuzanneRossWellness.com. Thanks for having me on today, Nancy. I send you and your audience love and many blessings. Namaste.
Namaste. God bless. Hey, you guys, this is Nancy. You're out. This is High Road to Humanity, and we will see you next time. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.